Let's say that I have 5 lemons. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lemons. And I were to ask you, what do I have to multiply times 5 to get 1? Or in this case, what do I have to multiply times 5 lemons to get 1 lemon? And so another question you might ask, because really multiplication and division are two sides of the same coin, is what would I have to divide 5 by to get to 1 lemon or yellow circle or whatever I've drawn right over here? Well, if you have 5 things and if you divide by 5, you're going to have 5 groups of 1. So if you divide by 5, you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups. So you could say 5 divided by 5 is equal to 1. You don't take 5 things divided into 5 groups. Each group is going to have 1 in them. Or you could say 5 times 1/5 is equal to 1. And I used the dot for multiplication. I could also say 5 times 1/5 is equal to 1. These are all really saying the same thing. Maybe what's kind of interesting here, although it's not some huge learning, it's really just another way of writing what you've already probably known, is this idea that if I have a number and I multiply times its multiplicative inverse, and most of the time when people talk about inverses in mathematics, they're talking about the multiplicative inverse, then I'm going to get 1. So 5 times 1/5 is equal to 1, but that's the same. That's just because 5 times 1/5 is the same thing as 5 divided by 5. If you were to actually multiply this out, if you actually take 5 times 1/5, this is equal to 5 over 1 times 1 over 5. You multiply the numerators, 5 times 1 is 5. Multiply the denominators, 1 times 5 is 5. So you have 5/5. And 5/5 is the exact same thing as 1. So if someone were to ask you a question, they said, hey, I have the number 217, and I want to multiply it by something, and I want to get 1 after multiplying it by that something. Well, you'd say, well, look, if I took 217 and I divided by 217, that would get me to 1. And dividing by 217 is the exact same thing as multiplying by 1 over 217, multiplying by its multiplicative inverse, which is, once again, a word that is fancier than the actual concept. You're just multiplying by the inverse of this number. Another way to think about it is if I have 5 things, and if I were to take 1/5 of those 5 things, how many things do I have? Well, if I take 1/5 of 5 things, I have exactly 1 thing right over here. But the general idea is super duper duper simple. If I have some crazy number, 8,345, that's actually not so crazy. Let's turn it into something in the millions, and 271. So 8,345,271. And I say, what do I have to multiply that? And I'll use this multiplication symbol right now. What do I have to multiply that by in order to get 1? Well, I just have to multiply by the inverse of this, the multiplicative inverse of this. So 1 over 8,345,271.